1977. With the Watergate scandal and the Vietnam War barely in America's rearview mirror, a Southerner becomes president of the United States. Recession is followed by inflation and soaring interest rates. Amidst this economic uncertainty, another Southerner boldly launches his own engineering firm in Charlotte, North Carolina. His name is John Sykes.
The first year we were in business, everything was at risk. My home, my family, and we started with 3 people. At the end of the first year, we had 85, we were profitable. And I was at Family Day, and it dawned on me that every decision that I made impacted the lives of those people. And that has always stayed with me.
My father targeted utility companies. Duke Power at the time was a very large client of ours, and those of us that were around in the 70s probably remember in the United States that's when we were building all of our nuclear power plants. And in Charlotte, we were building a brand new power plant, and down in the Carolinas, all through Tennessee. And my dad was very fortunate because they used lots of engineers, literally thousands of engineers, whenever they're building a nuclear power plant. And so he hit it at the right time, and we started growing as a contract staffing engineering services firm.
But power companies aren't the only utility client. In fact, a young Chuck Sykes has an opportunity to get his hands dirty and learn his father's business from the ground up, literally.
In 9th grade, I was working for that engineering services company, SYKES Enterprises, it was SEI at the time, installing flow meters in sewers. Okay, I mean, just trying to learn, working for your dad's company. It was an engineering company. They had a contract to do new wastewater treatment plants in Charlotte, and you had to go out and measure the flow going in. You got to do that kind of stuff.
I sent him all the way across the country, had him to work in the lowest job. Chuck grew step by step, never working directly for his father.
That kind of stuff is followed by another growth spurt for SEI, when IBM announces they are building a major manufacturing plant on Charlotte's north side. There's now a need for engineers, but John Sykes has bigger things in mind.
My father had just built our first headquarters building, which looks a lot today like our traditional U.S. customer service centers. If you've seen the brick ones that are about 40,000 square feet, it was almost identical, except it was 20,000 square feet. And he only needed about 5,000 square feet of this building. But thinking big like he does, he built the 20,000 square foot building. And it turned out that IBM needed contract engineers, but they didn't have a place for them to work. And lo and behold, my father was sitting there with his brand new building and said, I've got a place that I can house them for you, let them work.
A new president takes office in 1981. It is dubbed the Reagan Revolution. At the same time, Sykes Enterprises is revolutionizing its business model. SEI engineers begin providing illustrations for IBM user manuals.
Well, one day my father was looking at one of the manuals, and it had an 800 number in there. And he asked the team, what is that 800 number for? And the guy at IBM said, well, John, the challenge with the consumer space, unlike the business space, is that, the consumers don't really understand a lot about the technology, and they're not very good at reading the manuals, and so we have to give them a number to call. And my dad was really intrigued by that.
It is another presidential election year in 1992, when the call center concept really takes off, as Sykes acquires Jones Technologies in Sterling, Colorado.
That was the start. That was 1992. And then from 1992, we just stayed focused in doing consumer technical support. That was our niche.
Just 1 year later, another milestone, when the company headquartered in Charlotte for the first 15 years of its existence makes the move to Tampa, Florida.
He knew that, one day if I go public and take the company that way, being in the state of Florida is great. There's no state income tax. It's very beneficial. So he picked Tampa. He looked at St. Louis, he looked at Dallas, but he wanted a smaller community where he could really make an impact, make a difference, and this turned out to be the place.
The first overseas call center opens in Amsterdam in 1994, creating a SYKES presence in Europe. And the day John Sykes had long waited for comes in 1996, when Sykes Enterprises Incorporated goes public, but not necessarily with the goal of rapid expansion.
When we went public, we were growing rapidly, and everybody looked at us as a growth company. We just wanted to be known as a company you could depend upon, a company that when they said they could do something, that you knew it could be done on time, within budget. And that's what Sykes continues to do today.
But he'll always be the first to tell you many, many times, he never wanted to grow for growth's sake. That's something, even to this day, he'll remind me sometimes, don't let that be the ultimate driver. Do it because you love it, do it because you want to be the best in what you're doing, do it because you're enjoying it. And if you do those things, I think you find growth comes.
And does it ever? A series of acquisitions fuels that growth. Sykes acquires the Swedish-based Datasvar Support. The following year, the company buys German-based Telecare. Perhaps the most important acquisition also comes in 1997, when Sykes purchases McQueen International Limited, based in Scotland. More recently, Sykes acquires ICT Group in 2010, Alpine Access in 2012, the Dutch-based Kelp in 2015, and Clearlink just last year. This growth is not without its challenges. The dot-com bubble burst in 2001 and has a ripple effect all across the economy. Suddenly, Sykes clients are looking for customer support at a much more affordable price. Not only that, there's an obvious demand for call centers that can handle multiple languages, a need Chuck Sykes is very mindful of when he succeeds his father as CEO in 2004.
2004 to 2009 time period, it was all about leveraging our global platform. It was all about the offshoring value proposition. The whole industry embraced it, as we all now know. And Thomas Friedman then writes the book, The World is Flat, and I was thinking, you could have interviewed us 5 years ago, we would have told you that. Because we were way ahead of that. We really were.
No matter what your level of education happens to be, working for Sykes is an education in itself.
You got to show respect for each other, that you care for people, that you just don't talk about it, but you live it, and that everyone is important, no matter what level, what position, or what role you play. If you weren't important, then you wouldn't be needed. And so that's just been our philosophy, and it's carried on. And with Chuck now leading the company, it was easy for him to do that. The culture's stayed consistent for all these years.
A job working for Sykes in our industry is what I believe is probably the best learning ground for applying so many concepts that you learn in business school. Everything from marketing, IT, operations, human resources, all those things that you study in school. It all manifests itself right there in the center.
Expanding overseas obviously gives career opportunities to people whose options may have been limited. In fact, there is a common thread when choosing locations in the U.S. or internationally: smaller communities where you can truly make an impact.
Just travel the world and just look at the way that our guys give back in the community. That's not a corporate edict. They're not doing it because it's tied to their bonus plan. There's nothing strategy-wise that, we're sitting back saying you got to do this because it looks good. They do it because that's who they are. They are living our purpose statement.
A tone set by the founder himself. Passionately involved in the Tampa Bay community, the College of Business at the University of Tampa bears his name. The mantra of Sykes Enterprises is simple: people serving people. And Chuck Sykes believes the future is bright, with technology playing an even bigger role.
Those things, technology, creativity through digital marketing, and moving to the revenue side of the house, those are going to be big themes for us as we look at the next decade ahead for our company.
SYKES has to continue to stay abreast of the changes, to stay a step ahead, and to make sure that we deliver the best possible solution to our customers.
And potentially for decades to come. The little company that could, back in 1977, never rests on past laurels, unafraid to adapt to change, but unwilling to abandon its core values. SYKES, helping people, one caring interaction at a time.